Emma stood at the window, gazing out at the overcast sky. The weather seemed to reflect her mood, a mixture of apprehension and sadness. Her husband, David, had left for a business trip to Europe 2 weeks ago, and today he was due to return. Emma had missed him terribly. Their home felt empty without his warmth and laughter. The rain began to fall gently, tapping against the window like soft whispers of comfort. Her phone rang, pulling her from her reverie. She recognized the number immediately. It was the airline. Her heart pounded as she answered, hoping they were calling to inform her that the flight had been delayed due to weather.
Mrs. Collins?
The voice on the other end was calm, but had an edge of urgency.
Yes, this is Emma Collins.
We regret to inform you that Flight 378 has experienced an incident. We are still gathering details, but we wanted to inform you as soon as possible.
Emma's world spun. Her legs gave way, and she sank into a chair, her hand clutching the phone like a lifeline.
What kind of incident?
She managed to whisper,
We don't have all the details yet, ma'am. We're doing everything we can to gather information. Please wait for further updates.
The line went dead, leaving Emma in a vortex of fear and uncertainty. She dropped the phone and stared at it, willing it to ring again with better news. Minutes felt like hours as she sat there, paralyzed by dread. The rain outside intensified, mirroring the storm brewing within her. Days turned into weeks, and the search for Flight 378 continued. The authorities confirmed that the plane had crashed into the Atlantic Ocean. Despite extensive efforts, the wreckage was never found, and no survivors were reported. Emma was devastated, her life shrouded in a haze of grief. The vibrant world she once knew had faded into a dull gray. Friends and family rallied around her, but their words of comfort fell hollow. She was left alone to navigate the churning sea of sorrow. Her home, once filled with love and laughter, now echoed with silence and memories of a life she could no longer have. Emma tried to move forward, but the weight of David's absence was unbearable. She often found herself at the airport, watching the planes take off and land, hoping against hope that one day he would walk through the gate and into her arms. Years passed, and Emma learned to live with her grief. She found solace in her work at a local bookstore, immersing herself in the stories of others to escape her own. The bookstore was her sanctuary, a place where she could lose herself in the pages of countless books and forget the pain, if only for a little while. One rainy afternoon, Emma was at the store, organizing a display of new arrivals when a familiar voice caught her attention. She turned, her heart skipping a beat. There, standing at the counter, was David. He looked exactly as she remembered. Tall, with dark hair and piercing blue eyes. He was alive, and he was here. Emma's breath caught in her throat. She wanted to run to him, to hold him, and never let go. But something stopped her. David was not alone. He was with a woman, older, with kind eyes and a gentle smile. Emma recognized her immediately. David's mother, Margaret. She watched from a distance, her mind racing. How was this possible? Why hadn't he contacted her? She needed answers, but fear held her back. What if this was all a mistake? What if it was just someone who looked like him? Emma's curiosity and longing eventually overcame her fear. She approached them cautiously, her heart pounding in her chest. As she got closer, she saw David glance in her direction. Their eyes met, and a flicker of recognition passed across his face.
David?
Her voice was barely a whisper, trembling with emotion. David's expression shifted from confusion to shock.
Emma?
He said, his voice equally filled with disbelief. Margaret looked between them, her eyes widening in surprise.
David, is this?
Emma couldn't wait any longer. She threw her arms around him, tears streaming down her face.
I thought you were dead.
She sobbed.
They told me the plane crashed and you were gone.
David held her tightly, his own eyes glistening with tears.
I don't understand. I was never on that plane. I've been living in Europe with my mother all this time. We lost contact with everyone back home after some things happened.
Emma pulled back, searching his face for answers.
Why didn't you come back? Why didn't you contact me?
David looked down, guilt and sadness etched into his features.
It's a long story, Emma. I thought you moved on. I thought you remarried.
Emma's heart ached with the weight of lost years and misunderstandings.
We need to talk.
She said, her voice firm despite the tears. Margaret stepped forward, her eyes filled with compassion.
Why don't we go somewhere private? We have a lot to discuss.
They went to a nearby cafe, where the rain outside provided a soothing backdrop to the emotional conversation that unfolded. David explained that after the incident, he had been caught in a bureaucratic nightmare in Europe. His belongings, including his phone and wallet, had been stolen, and without identification, he had struggled to prove his identity. By the time he managed to resolve the situation, he had assumed Emma had moved on. Margaret had gone to Europe to help him, and they had decided to start fresh, thinking it was best for everyone. They had lost touch with friends and family back home, and David had been too ashamed to reach out after so much time had passed. Emma listened, her heart breaking anew for the pain and confusion they had both endured.
I never moved on.
She said softly.
I could never forget you.
David reached across the table and took her hand.
I'm so sorry, Emma. I never wanted to hurt you. I thought I was doing the right thing.
They talked for hours, sharing stories of the years they had lost. It was a bittersweet reunion, filled with tears and laughter, as they began to rebuild the bond that had once been unbreakable. David and Margaret returned to the small town where they had lived before the incident. The community welcomed them back with open arms, their return a miracle that brought hope and joy to everyone. Emma and David decided to take things slowly, to rediscover each other and the life they had once shared. They spent countless hours walking through the town, reminiscing about old memories and making new ones. The pain of the past was still there, but it was tempered by the joy of their reunion and the promise of a future together. David and Emma's love story became a beacon of hope for others, a testament to the power of love and the resilience of the human spirit. They had been through unimaginable pain and loss, but they had found their way back to each other. As the years went by, Emma and David's love only grew stronger. They faced new challenges together, but nothing seemed insurmountable now they had each other. They often spoke of the day they were reunited, marveling at the twist of fate that had brought them back together. They honored the memory of the lost years by living fully in the present, cherishing every moment they had. Their story inspired many, and they became known for their resilience and unwavering love. In the end, it wasn't just a story of loss and reunion. It was a story of hope, love, and the incredible strength of the human heart. Emma and David proved that even in the darkest times, love could find a way to shine through, bringing light and joy to those who believed in it.